Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's time for a brand new and unfortunately final coronation overreaction of the 2025 season. That is, of course, because Nebraska's not in the national semifinals for the college football playoffs or anything like that. We just have a good old fashioned season and bowl game to put a bow on tonight. But let's go around the horn and introduce everybody. Of course, Coronation's overreaction. I am Greg Mahochko, and to my left, your right is Jake, and up here in the Alice position is Haas. Gentlemen, it is good to see you guys. We were talking just briefly before the show. Your first Christmases as dads. Welcome to the club, and you know everything from New Year's Eve aside. I hope you guys had just a really joyous Christmas with your youngins.
Yeah, it was great. First time, first Christmas with Lane. Like you said earlier, he's probably more interested in the boxes and the wrapping paper, and that's exactly what happened. And thankfully, we got a ton of clothes for him for Christmas from different folks in the family, and he's still young enough, obviously, to not be pissed off about receiving clothes as a gift. Unlike my 4-year-old nephew, I went to give him couple of gifts. One of them was a jacket. The other one was some Hot Wheels. He opened the jacket first and threw it across my parents' living room. And I was just like, yeah, I get it. Not much fun, but you're guarantee your parents love this.
Jake?
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. I just tried to soak it in because this will be the only time I have just one, and it's their first Christmas. If we have more kids, which we want to, it'll never just be the three of us, as in myself, my wife, and then her. So, but yeah, Greg, same to you, by the way. Hope you had a great Christmas too, and everyone who's watching right now. Obviously our best wishes go out to you guys too, and hopefully everyone had a safe and happy holiday season. In spite of the bowl game performance that we had.
Well, we'll get to that in just a minute. But Haas, you mentioned the 4-year-old, and I have two boys who are 4. There'll be 5 here in just next month, but completely opposite reactions to everything. So Robert, whether it was a toy or whether it was a T-shirt, he would go up to my mom, grandma, and say, "Wow, thank you, I love you, I love it." And then Matthew, he got a pair of pants and literally whoosh. It's like like the
Where
kids
the
in a
toys
Christmas
at?
story getting the socks and like sock. No,
Yeah, socks as a Christmas gift, the older you get, are the greatest thing ever. I got some thermal socks for Christmas from my mom and dad, and I was like, hell yeah, these things are going to get put to good use. Some cold November football game or just being out in cold weather, like I'll gladly take these.
You got to be out though. You wear them just on like a day, and
Oh
then
yeah,
you're in an office all day, or you're inside. Whew, I've
oh
made
yeah.
that mistake before.
Your feet get cooking. I got a pair of like the Under Armour like Hitch Heavy Arctic socks, and I wore them to work one
Mhm.
time when I wasn't working outdoors. It was miserable. I felt like I was in a crock pot.
Yep.
well, it's funny. We're gonna tie this back to Christmas of years past, Haas. When you were with me on the Five Heart podcast a few years back, this is well before the YouTube days, and I think before we ever even posted videos on YouTube, of just our recordings. But we're like, what could we get? What's our Husker Christmas wish? And we asked the coordination staff at the time. It is in the audio archives. I'll have to dig it up, and maybe I'll try to throw it on the description of this post when the article hits. But you remember that?
Yeah,
That was
I do. That must have been shit, maybe 2016,
yeah,
2017.
that was so long ago.
I think what I said was a dominant offensive line.
And here we are, all these years later.
Yeah, it's time is a flat circle, man.
So I guess if we went in chronological order, we would talk about the firings and hirings on the coaching staff first. Were there any surprises from the firings? Obviously, it was John Butler. It was Donovan Raiola. It was Terry Braden, I believe. If the name's correct, I know it was the defensive line coach. Were there any surprises for the firings that you guys thought, or maybe surprises for some coaches who maybe are still haven't been fired yet?
I was a little shocked by John Butler getting fired, and that's not to say like I didn't want him to get fired. After that Penn State and Iowa game, it was evident that he was not going to put together a defensive scheme that put him in a position to succeed. Hearing about Rule making a comment about how Butler bitched and moaned about not having the players to execute the scheme really kind of was the cherry on top. But that one did surprise me. Coming away from that Iowa game, obviously I was pretty disappointed with losing 40-16, but I kind of resigned myself to the thought of, hey, he's going to be back next year. Like they'll run it back next year. But, I'm glad that he made the move. I think that we did so many things that were structurally and schematically unsound against Iowa, or just aligning in general that last half of the year, that I think it really left Rule with no choice. And I think Terry Braden, that was pretty much at the point where it had to happen. That defensive line just completely regressed from 23 and 24, with the understanding that they're missing a couple of key pieces. But I'm excited to see who the defensive line coach will be. And I guess if you were to ask that question, what you did about any disappointment or being shocked that somebody hasn't been fired, I'd say the only shock that I have is a defensive line coach has not been named yet.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because, real quick,
yeah,
I think that it's a little bit irresponsible for going the NFL route again. Because you saw what happened bringing in Braden. I've heard his name pronounced different ways. Bringing him in from an NFL level, there's not a lot of development that already takes place at that level. A lot of guys kind of get onto 53-man rosters. They are who they are. You're just refining the really small parts of the game, making them better pass rushers, working on situational stuff. So, and then the other part of it is you got to bring in somebody that can bring guys with them in the portal. I think that's a piece that was really missing with the previous hire. And now if we're going to run it back the NFL way, if it's going to be a Frank Oakham, Rule's old D-line coach at Baylor, who just finished up the year with the Houston Texans, okay, that's a guy that Rule's familiar with, but you're kind of starting behind the 8 ball because it's all about talent acquisition now in college football. It's not 3 to 4 years of development anymore.
So I was going to ask, maybe the fact that we hadn't heard about a new defensive line coach was maybe because he was still coaching, but I was thinking in the collegiate, like bowl playoffs, etc. You think it may be someone from the professional level who, again, this isn't like college basketball apparently, where you can go to the G League and then come back and play college basketball. Right. Once you're in the NFL, you're in the NFL. He's not bringing any talent with him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The firings, none of them surprised me. The timing of Butler surprised me, though. I thought there was a good shot he'd be fired, but I thought it'd be after the bowl game. I didn't think that he would do it before. Obviously, when you think about it, set up with Phil Snow already in the building and everything, it does make sense. But I was a little surprised by that. That's the end of that thought.
Well, then, of course, in the time of firing the head coach or the assistant coaches and the bowl game, we hired Jeep Wade from Georgia Tech for the offensive line, and we hired Auric from San Diego State. But they didn't really have a chance to be boots on the ground, so to speak, in coaching. So from the defensive side, do you think that's why, and let's just put it all out there, we got waxed by Utah, or do you think that we were always going to get waxed by Utah?
We were always going to get our teeth kicked in. That was the nation's number 2 ranked scoring offense in America. I mean, the fact that we hung with them a little bit in the first half exceeded my expectations, but I have a bunch of stuff written down on the thoughts exactly about what happened after it was knotted at 14. But that was a loss anyway you sliced it. I was over at Jake's house, actually pretty much sitting right where he's sitting, watching the game. And at some point in the early second half, when it started to run away from us, we all basically just resigned ourselves to, hey, this was always going to happen. Yeah. Like, not going to let it ruin our New Year's Eve. Just, flush it and move on. Thing is, I woke up the morning of New Year's Day, and my first thought was still, wow, I'm really pissed off about yesterday's game.
Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lopsided matchup for us, like any way you cut it. And I've seen some people like, if Emmett would have played, wouldn't have made a difference, not a chance.
Probably would have hurt his draft stock, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he could have hurt it or helped it. The only way it would have hurt it, in my opinion, is if he would have got dinged. So, I mean, we went back and forth on this, Haas and I, like, oh yeah, good for him. He's not playing, let's go out and then the more I thought about it, I was like, man, I really wish that he was playing, finish out your career with the Bull. And then like, I of course came back down to earth and was like, yeah, dude, no reason to play this game. What was I thinking? You know what I mean? But like those thoughts did go back and forth for me. There's going to have to be some pretty major, we're not getting the off season yet, but I'm with Rob Zadika, who does the Doc Talk podcast, and their post game. There's got to be some pretty major changes personnel wise on this team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's got to be a influx of difference makers, and whether that's guys in the portal, whether that's development from within what's already there, we have to get more athletic. I think that's the thing that bothered me the most watching the game was just how outclassed we were.
Yeah,
in a lot of key spots, and then. I guess Steve Sipple, somebody mentioned this to me. Steve Sipple said he overheard the officials after the game talking, and they were just shocked about how unathletic Nebraska looked compared to Utah.
Well, I didn't hear that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing, in addition to getting more athletic, we've got to, and it's a buzzword that I know a lot of people hate, but we've got to develop an identity. And I'm not so necessarily talking about a schematic identity. I'm talking about decide what you want to do, how you want to play football, and recruit to it and develop it. So if you're going to be a GT counter team like Georgia Tech, hiring Jeep Wade, okay, then let's get guys who can maul, down block, defenders are athletic enough to get out and move. Let's make that the calling card, those techniques, those kinds of athletes into what we do. Plays be damned at that point. It needs to be technical proficiency.
Yeah,
not schematic strategy.
And I think, from the schematic standpoint is, I think to our identity, Haas, we have been operating for, 15 years, 20 years as a jack of all trades, master of none program. Mm-hmm. Like we haven't had an identity for so long that, anytime we talk about the last time that we had an identity, we always have to go back to the 90s, which is when, of course, we're accused of living in the past. Mm-hmm. But it's the only thing we can really hang our hat on is, option, strong run game, tough defense. We haven't had an identity for so long that we have to go flip the calendar back that far to say. So I don't care what kind of football we play. I just want it to be, like you said, technically proficient, and let's hone our craft, and let's go out there and win some damn football games.
So to cleanse my palate after the bowl game, I did go on a binge of watching some of the classic Husker games from different years in the 90s. One of them being the 94 season game that we played Miami in their home stadium in 95, the 94 Orange Bowl. We won the national title. And talk about technically proficient football. We had really good players. Let's not not say that we didn't, right? Because we did. But like Brendan Stye and that pipeline offensive line got eaten up by Warren Sapp was having a Ndamukong Suh level performance for most of that game. And Brendan Stye went on to start in the NFL for 10 years. He was a really good player. So we just stuck with what we did all year. Played technically proficient football, and won the game against an opponent that you could argue was talent-wise potentially better than we were. Mm-hmm. But we stuck to the formula. We did it well, and we ended up winning the game. We trusted the process. But does it help when you have Lawrence Phillips and Corey Schlesinger and Tommy Frazier and all those offensive linemen on defense, great players, but
team of college football Hall of Famers.
Yeah, team, but Miami did too. Miami also had a team full of college, particularly on the defensive side. I mean, they had Ray Lewis and Warren Sapp. Those are NFL Hall of Famers.
A couple of identity-related comments here. Minnie says, I like what Jeep said. Our identity was tough in the trenches. I mean, hopefully it is. It hasn't been.
I did think at stretches the O-line looked a lot better to start the game than they did back in November.
All right. And then Aaron Rostowski says, hard to have an identity with so many freshmen and sophomores. This year will be the first year with a balance between older guys and younger guys since Rule took over.
That is a key point because, like they talk about with Fred Hoiberg and Nebraska basketball, you got to get old and stay old, in the Big Ten Conference. But the one thing that I counter the great point that Aaron brought up is rules kind of been changing horses midstream a little bit, came in with one idea, to have a mobile quarterback. Dylan falls into his lap, switches things around. About the only thing he's been consistent on is, recruiting and developing within a 3-3-5 defense. I mean, we're kind of looking at our third offensive overhaul, in as many years at this point. And I mean, I could get into the Dana Holgerson stuff at this point, but I'm sure, we'll kind of put that towards later in the show.
Well, people also overblow this like schematic thing. Like we did a lot of 4-man fronts this year. Like a lot of that was schemed in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much what you align in, it's what you fit post snap, whether you're odd or even, 3-man, 4-man.
Yeah. And again, like people can disagree with what I say. What I say is an opinion that I have, not always a fact. But our personnel, especially defensively, didn't really match what we were trying to do all the time. When you have guys like Nash and Ty, here we go, treading this old topic again. Man, we really took those guys for granted last year. I mean, especially Ty being able to take up both A gaps, just a guy eating space up there. I mean, look at like Vincent Shavers, I think was better this year than he was last year, but he wasn't able to run as free all the time because he didn't have the big boys up front taking up space. So it's not doom and gloom. We'll get to the whole season recap in a bit. So I'm not gonna like start that, but I have some opinions about how I feel like if this season was a success or a failure or not, based on certain criteria. But one good thing is we haven't seen too many key pieces enter the portal yet, other than Dylan, which everybody expected.
Yeah, I thought I saw that there were 18 players total, at least as of earlier today. 18 Nebraska players in the draft. I mean, or no, sorry, not the draft. Big difference in the transfer portal. I know Keona Davis's name was in earlier today. Maybe he changed his mind. I don't know.
That one surprised me a bit. There's a surprise. I wasn't expecting him.
Played in 25 games, I think, over the last couple of years.
I hate to say it though, real quick, Greg. I don't want to like step on you, but like, my knee-jerk reaction, I think that all of our knee-jerk reaction says a lot about how you really feel before you stew on it. When I saw that news break that Davis was entering the portal, I was kind of like, eh.
Yeah. No, that's how I was. About the only two guys maybe three guys that I'd be like, shit, if they hit the portal, would be Barney, Isaiah Hunter, Elijah Pritchett.
That's the three right there.
Other than that, I'm pretty ambivalent.
With the way our tight end room looks right now, Lindemeyer hitting the portal, I think would be a pretty big blow at them because we don't know what's going to happen with Carter Nelson.
Yep.
What is he? What's going on? Is he, I know he's not injured. He played in the bowl game here and there, but at least I think I saw him out there. But that would be a big one. I think he is a really good player. Like he is, but not because he's a good player, but because of what we have. Ooh, Boardman, Andrew Marshall, that would hurt.
That would hurt.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That would hurt. But here's the other thing too. I don't want to keep, but we're on the top of the bowl game. We have to get better at tackling in space, particularly. Why am I blanking on his name, guys? 37 corner here.
Donovan Jones.
Really good in coverage. Really rough when it comes to making tackles, especially in the open field. And Marshall had his moments too this season. I mean, we got to get better there.
Yeah, Marshall and Jones, especially against Northwestern, they had really rough games in front support, and that continued on towards the tail end of the year.
Rough.
And I don't know if it was just not getting as many opportunities, but I think we all were expecting more from Marquez Watson Trent. He was the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year, like came in like leading the conference in tackles, and then I don't know if it was opportunity and just not as many snaps, but it just seemed slower.
He was a net negative on the field.
So
I agree. He truly was.
Yeah. One of the more frustrating guys to watch. This
easy for me to say. I just sit in my chair and watch the games, but
it's like bad football is like the Supreme Court definition of pornography. You know it when you see it.
It was rough. I mean, I don't want to clown on a guy, but like he announced he was declaring for the draft today, like in this big heartfelt post or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Fred, yeah. Hey guys, Trent announced he's going to the NFL. Huge lot. Yeah. I'm like, dude, okay.
What happened to this trend with like now you have seniors exhausted of eligibility announcing they're declaring for the draft? I thought that was just the next course of life.
Wasn't Javion Wright another one that did that?
Yeah, Javen Wright.
Dasan McCullough. It was Dasan McCullough. A lot of the media was like, yeah, dude, you have no more eligibility. Like that's
what are your plans here?
You know,
speaking unless you're trying to get that COVID year or something. I don't know.
Speaking of physical attributes on the field, Jake, we talked about this a little bit during the game. Utah was built and moved like those 1980s, early 90s Husker teams.
Oh, yeah.
Long, athletic, nasty, run through somebody's face. I think we might be at a point where we have to start looking at what is Corey Campbell doing in terms of strength and conditioning.
Well, I think I don't have any insight, like I'm not in the building, but based on what I see, it looks like we do a lot of speed work and explosive training, and I don't think we're doing a lot of your good old, like, did you guys ever see, it was like a really niche VHS tape from like 2000 or 1999, and it was something like something about like making a comparison, like if heaven had a weight room, and it was the Nebraska strength program. Mm-hmm. One of the guys that I guess work with, a subordinate of mine sent me, he's a huge Hawkeye fan, and he sent me the video. I never even seen it. And he was like, dude, this is, because he's a competitive power lifter, elite amateur competitive power lifter. And he was like, dude, holy shit, like this is insane, like great stuff, you know. And the intensity, and like, you know what they were doing? Squatting, benching, and deadlifting, and power cleans. Like that's all the whole documentary was these guys doing this. Their explosive work was Husker power. Exactly. It was the hang clean stuff, maybe some of the old hammer strength, the plate loaded hammer strength machines. Other than that, it was, I mean, dude, you're seeing offensive linemen, they're warming up with 225. They're going right to 405. Not that I recommend that. That's a pretty serious weight. I don't think I do that. But, you know, plus it was the 90s. There may be some performance enhancing supplements that were being used at the time. Supplements. I said supplements.
Supplements. Vitamin S.
Yeah, vitamin S was being used. That's, you know, but so was everyone else at the time. But like, I think we're lacking there. I do think we're lacking with just your good old fashioned get in the squat rack. Let's watch somebody, you know, let's watch our big badass left tackle squat 650 pounds. And then let's lose our freaking minds and celebrate with him when he does it. You know, I'm talking like that kind of leg workout where guys' noses start bleeding. I know we're in a different time, whatever, but like, I don't know, Haas, how many times have you been in the squat rack, squatting heavy weight, and then nosebleed happens? I mean,
a little blurry vision.
Mm-hmm.
Eardrums bulge.
Oh, yeah. Dude. Why don't you ask me that question, Jake?
All right, Greg, how many times have you been in the squat rack? Like,
let me tell you,
it happened. Like, I just, what it looks like to me, what I'm seeing when I watch the games and with no other information other than what I'm seeing on TV, is it looks to me like we're doing a lot of speed work to still be slow, but speed work and explosive kind of niche, maybe like some like plyo training, stuff like that. And we're not doing enough nasty shit in the weight room to just get strong. And I mean, dude, do we have anybody who's even like looking up at those numbers and going, man, I'm going to beat, you know, wait, man, we have a guy who like, whatever, Brendan Steib bench 525. I'm going to beat that by the time I leave this place. Like, no, we don't have any of that.
Yeah, nobody's looking up at I am hip squat record, you know. And
how long? Yeah. What was it? 705?
I think 760.
That's insane. I'd like to see the clip on the depth, but with a guy his size. But
no, like it's a great point that you bring up about the intensity of that video, getting after it in the weight room. And I hate to invoke this certain team, but it always reminds me of Mark Banker after we got beat by Iowa in 16, said those practices must be bloodbaths because of the physicality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And looking at how other Big Ten teams are built and teams at the top of the national polls, you know, playing in the college football playoff right now, New Year's Six, whatever, it must be bloodbaths. in the weight room, just the way they're built, the way they get after people. And I mean, if you do something, it's just like anything else in life. How you do the little things determines how you do the big things. If you have that kind of physicality and that kind of, mindset in the weight room, on the practice field, all that, it's going to carry over to games. That's a part of identity too.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
I want to piss you guys off real quick. Living in Omaha, David Matney says, we don't need squat racks and conditioning. We have a podcast and a backwards wearing hat coach.
Haas, you mind if I do have an opinion about this.
Go ahead.
Listen, man, I know Rule was leaning into the whole comment about the backwards hat thing or whatever, but dude, the joke was overplayed. He's on the sideline starting the game with that. Yeah. Dude, I didn't think that was a good look.
And you went fitted hat, man. Never go fitted backwards hat.
It's a good look if you go out and win the game, just like your podcast is a good look if you're a playoff team or whatever. Are you gonna have your House Rules podcast next year if we go 4-8, dude?
Yeah, when Indiana rolls in and Cignetti drops 70 on us in Memorial Stadium, are you going to be like, well, I'll tell you, we had the best week of practice leading up to this one.
It's those damn Saturdays. They just keep tripping us up, man. We have these great weeks of practice. I don't know, man. It looked clown behavior to me.
It did, and as we're sitting here both wearing backwards hats, because I saw some of the comments earlier, hey, this is straight from public speaking class in college. You give a speech, you address people, you never wear a hat. I like to wear a hat. I'm a little follically challenged to begin with.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not going to do a forward-facing hat on camera because that blocks my face. Just what they talk about in public speaking.
I'm not coaching. I'm not representing.
I'm not on TV.
I'm drinking during this show. Come on. I can, also someone made a comment earlier, I forget, but I didn't realize this till a little bit after the comment. We're all wearing black. And I think it was Rostovsky was like, whose funeral are we going to? We did not coordinate this. We all just independently decided to wear black.
I was wearing a Chiefs shirt earlier, but I took it off after that absolute utter embarrassment of losing to the Oakland Raiders 14-12 without a single offensive touchdown being scored.
Yeah.
Well, it's Sunday Night Football and the battle for the North, and Pittsburgh just took a lead. They're up 13-10 now. They've scored 10 unanswered points, which brings me back to the bowl game where at one point Utah scored 37 unanswered points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't that just disgust you?
Well, yeah. Fuck. As much as I knew we were get our teeth kicked in, at the end of the day, thanks, Roger. At the end of the day, it still doesn't make it any easier to sit there and just be like, wow, we are absolutely fucking hapless.
I mean, when it's going full deliverance, infamous scene, and you're watching something you love just have that happen to them, when it feels listen, I will never sit on this show or be in public and be like, I'm okay with Nebraska. We are what we are. Fuck that all day. I do not give a shit. 7-6 is not the standard, and Utah was really good this year, and they have a more, they had a losing record last year. I understand that, but they have a more kind of in recent history. Their program is more. It's been stable with Whittingham. They have a culture in place. What I'm trying to say. I still can't just sit here and go, well, I expected that and it's okay. And it is what it's. No, it hurts. You're the University of Nebraska. Having that happen to you is embarrassing. And Minnie said it. It was an embarrassing, and it is embarrassing. And I was embarrassed. Luckily, the Husker men's basketball team is not embarrassing. So I was able to cleanse my palate also with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I told Katie after that game, I was like, that almost makes me feel better about the bowl game.
And you're a Jasker.
Jake can attest to this too. I've thrown equal devotion to both programs.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jake, your dad does too.
Yep. And myself. I'm also a Jasker.
My dad does, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about y'all.
Yeah, because you're not from Omaha.
It's true. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get
I'm not
outta
from
here.
Nebraska, so
Go root for the Bradley Braves or the Illinois State Redbirds
can't do that.
or the St. Louis Billikens.
Yeah. I've been to a couple Billikens games, but it's been, gosh dang, the old barn. Anyway, Tony, the Minnesota fan, says that Utah was a bad matchup for Nebraska. If the Huskers didn't have such a great fan base, we would have had a better matchup.
I do feel like we got into that matchup because of the travel aspect.
I do too.
Fans spending money. Utah was straight up a bad matchup, but like Jake said, it doesn't make it any easier to swallow as a Husker fan, because as I was watching that game and then was nursing a hangover on New Year's Day, watching the college football playoff games, I told Katie at one point, we were watching the Sugar Bowl, I feel like I watch a completely different sport 12 Saturdays out of the year.
Yep.
And then compared to watching these teams play.
Yes.
It's terrifying how unathletic we are.
Greg, if I may, please, just real quick.
Yes, please.
When before the game that we played, it was a few days before I was at my in-laws, and when I was watching the bowl game where it was it was FIU, whoever they played. The game was just on in the background. Some shit bowl. And then on New Year's Day, I was watching some of those games, like Haas was saying, and I had the same realization. I was like, we're closer.
Mm-hmm.
We're closer to FIU and those type of teams than we are to these teams up here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard for me to I'm not even gonna say accept it, because I don't accept it. But it's hard for me to live with. And it's hard for me to
swallow.
Yeah, and I'm not going to swallow. I'm going to spit it out because you're the University of Nebraska. For sake, this is not acceptable. You can't. Oh, back-to-back winning seasons. Wow, holy shit.
Yeah, we are, and I think that's why we as Nebraska fans are so aggravated, because we do expect more. We anticipate that this team, this program that we love, will put a better product out on the field. We talked about the matchup here a moment ago, and Minnie says, imagine being Utah and having to play us. They were 10-2, and they had to play 7-5 Nebraska. Yeah. She says, I would have been pissed off.
Who got drugged at the end of the season. The other part of this, too, is whatever, back-to-back winning seasons. Look at what's our best win, guys. Look at the teams we beat.
Colorado and Cincinnati.
What's that?
Colorado and Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. We didn't play Colorado. Did we play Colorado?
I thought you were talking about just in the back-to-back wins.
No. I was like, dude, am I losing my mind? No,
just
like from
25?
Northwestern and Cincinnati.
Northwestern, Cincinnati. Yeah, that's it. 'Cause I mean, like Maryland didn't go to a bowl. UCLA,
Michigan State sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, Houston Christian beat the shit out of Arkansas Baptist before they played us, though. They won like 70-0. I'm not sure if Arkansas Baptist knew they were playing football that day against Houston Christian.
I mean,
so this is my point here is, like, again, another season where we lost to Minnesota, Iowa, Penn State, and Michigan, all the other brands that are even worth the shit. I'm not calling Iowa and Minnesota big brands. They own us, but they're not big brands. No marquee wins. None. Not a single one. That's all I have to say. Season was not a success. We didn't beat anybody.
And I would venture to say, and I said this on Wednesday after the game when we did our 5 Heart podcast on a different day, different time, but this 7-6 feels different than last year's 7-6 because of how this season ended. Like last year, we at least won the bowl game, and it was the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl or whatever, but it was New York, and we had the offseason to, with a win. This year, and I did the math. I don't remember what it was. It's like something like 120 to 40 is how we were outscored in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if we're going to talk about 7-6 last year, feeling different than 7-6 this year, it kind of brought to mind a really weird, disturbing trend that I think we're all aware of, but it still bears mentioning. 2023, we're 5-3 heading into November, and we go 0 for November that year. Go 0-4. 2024, we're sitting at 5-1 heading into Indiana. And we lose Indiana. We go on that slide. We don't win again until Wisconsin. Then we lose to Iowa a week later. Finish 7-6 with the bowl win against Boston College. Then this year, same thing. At one point, we're sitting at 5-2, 5-1, whatever it was. From then on, it's a backslide. Every single year, we backslide in November. And that kind of gets into what I was talking about with Corey Campbell, discussion about him, because are we just not fresh when November hits? Is it because competition increases at that point? We're going to go up against more of the heavyweights on our schedule. Whatever it is, Rule has a lot of soul searching to do this offseason. And there was a comment earlier where it talked about how Rule got mad at Sipple for calling it a reboot. What he's going through this year is a reboot again. Call it whatever he wants to call it. On its face, that's what it is.
You keep rehiring coordinators.
Yeah, you're on your third defensive coordinator in 4 years.
Yeah,
you're on your second offensive coordinator, and you're switching to now a different way. Different scheme, different philosophy.
He said something too about we're turning it around, and we're just not doing as fast as some other places. But look at what Fred has done with the basketball team. I'd like Fred to tell Rule, hey, dog, my plan wasn't for this to take 8 years.
Yep.
I'm lucky to still have a job, man. What is this?
Well, I know
we're hiring coaches and going, got to give him 10 years, guys.
Well, I think one of the things that always stands out to me about, it hasn't happened as fast as it has at other places. Look at Indiana and Kurt Signetti. They don't run any exotic offensive scheme. They don't run anything exotic on defense. Literally all it is they develop guys. They identify and evaluate talent through the portal first and foremost. That's their MO. But then they get guys there. They develop them into a unit like their defense. They don't have a single defensive. They have like 1 or 2 starters on defense taller than 6'2". A lot of guys on that roster are 3 stars or lower. They have 0 5 stars, 2 4 stars, but they led the nation in 112 tackles for loss as a defense this year. They're physical as all hell on offense at the line of scrimmage. All that is having an identity, evaluating talent, developing it, or you get guys that have been developed elsewhere, and then you develop them a little bit more to your culture, to your identity within the program. That's what they're doing. It's just coaching football, and they're doing it at a damn high level. And it's kind of refreshing to see finally, people are still putting an emphasis on blocking and tackling. That's where I have the highest level of animosity towards Rule, is that he has a tendency to try to put lipstick on a pig and tell us that they're developing, that what they're doing is working. It's just not happening as fast as possible. Jake, you said it best on New Year's Eve. At some point, if you're developing towards that point, you would punch up and take somebody out that you're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not there.
You'd at least beat a ranked opponent.
Yeah, you fall backwards into it.
You'd like accidentally get a pick 6 to win the game or something. I mean, what are we, 0 for 30 in our last, playing ranked opponents?
Yeah, Iowa would have made that. Well, no, I think it's 0 for 31 now. With
0 for 31. Whatever it is, it's 0 for 30 or 0 for 31.
0 for 31. I mean, it defies the laws of probability.
Probability.
Like what, the Oregon game in the Riley era, right?
Yeah, Oregon game in the Riley era, where Oregon ended up being dog water bad that year.
Yeah.
They went 3-9, fired Mark Helfrich.
We didn't know that at the time, though.
No, we didn't. And they had a lot of great players. I mean, they had Royce Freeman at running back, Troy Dye.
I'm certainly not torches and pitchforks fire Rule. To be
clear,
I'm not
either.
100% I'm not. But that being said, it's okay to be critical of what's going on. Because so far, we've had an issue with coordinator ability and proficiency in his identifying of that, and him and his staff also identifying and developing talent. Those are both huge issues. And you can't just, I mean,
he hires an offensive coordinator in Marcus Satterfield, who the team we hired him from was all too happy to see him go. And then I mean, I've talked at length on this podcast about how much I like Dana Holgerson over the past, 10, 15 years as a play caller.
Yeah.
It's evident now we have an offensive coordinator who's past his best buy date, his expiration date. Can script a phenomenal drive, but when it comes to off the cuff play calling or calling plays based on stuff that he sees in game, drive to drive, he cannot adjust.
Wait a minute. There was a comment. I thought I flagged this. I guess maybe. Oh, here we go. Mike Schuster wants to know, why can Nebraska only ever look good on one or two drives? It makes no sense. And there was somebody did the math on this. It was number of points and overall offensive production on the first two drives of a game versus the rest of the game. And it's entirely lopsided. Is that just because, I know they say they script, most teams script the first 15 plays, but what is that, without maybe pointing fingers or ascribing blame, is that the reason what you were just alluding to there, Hoss?
Well, yeah, it's all, scripted drives are all based on film work and prep work and practice. You're repping it against the look you think you're going to get. Guys are playing fast and confident. It's drive to drive after those first couple drives where it's, for whatever reason, we're not getting the feedback, from what's going on in the field and adjusting, or knowing that they're going to adjust to this next part, to something we did on the next drive, and we have to have an adjustment to the adjustment. There's really not a lot of anticipation that takes place in his play calling. And I know there was another comment that talked about, it was Mike Schuster saying that he disagreed, Rule stopping Dana. I felt that way for most of this year, that Rule wasn't letting Dana be Dana. And I still think that could be the factor, but at the end of the day, I just think like his best days might be behind him as an offensive coordinator. That's kind of what the Utah game made me realize.
Aaron Keene says it seems that as soon as the defense adjusts, we don't, and that's what you were talking about a moment ago with the adjustment to the adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And he agreed. We talked about Marcus Satterfield, of course. A lot of comments are bitching about the fact he's still here. He got the demotion to the tight end coach.
Aaron, I agree. Our tight end.
I saw that comment. I wanted to highlight. I agree, 100%. He's a great tight ends coach.
And again, I guess we'll figure out, like you said, what the future of Carter Nelson in the tight end room. Jay Rich says the tight ends are hardly ever used.
Well, lately we haven't been running very many offensive plays. We go 3 and out a lot. We don't run a lot of plays a game. That's why you don't really see a lot of big the stats aren't accumulated offensively like you would expect, as far as, Emmett got his with rushing yards and touchdowns, but receivers and yardage. Yeah, he was a spectacular player, which part of this is when, someone made a comment, we had it highlighted, we're about not adjusting. We're adjusting a bit. Like, the adjustment it's the execution by the players, guys, that we're leaving out here. Everyone puts everything on coaches.
That's there too.
Like, how many times did Calvin Jones make a guy miss in house one for 40 yards out? Or Amon Green break a tackle in the backfield, reverse his field and get 20 and pick up a 3rd and 11 or whatever it would have been, or a 2nd and 11, whatever it might be. We got to have dudes. You got to have dudes. So not everything is on the coaches. You still got to have the guys. And again, don't want to crap on any players that are playing, but as of right now, as a whole product, we just don't have the guys right now, is my opinion. Not saying as a fact, it's just what I see when I watch the game.
I would agree with that. We don't have the guys that can make up for subpar adjustments or subpar.
Exactly. Because even then, you might adjust. Hey, guys, they're running this look, whatever. Hey, we're going to do this drag route on this play. If it's executed, huge gain, we're all high-fiving and celebrating, but what ends up maybe happening? Well, someone misses a block and it's a sack. Or someone misses a block, TJ has to scramble and throw it away. Or everything else goes well, TJ misses the throw. Or everything else goes great and the receiver drops the ball. Yep. Or something. There's so many things that happen in little micro occurrences, right? even if you make the right adjustment, things can happen throughout the course of the play. What it really comes down to is the players being able to execute. And I feel like I'm Bo Pelini right now because I feel like that was him his entire time he was here.
Every time going into the locker room at halftime, we just got to execute the process.
We just got to execute the process.
I think the biggest indictment on Dana from the bowl game would be how conservative he got after it got tied at 14. And we started on that stretch of going 3 straight 3-and-outs. And within that, if you want to run the football, that's great. Have difference makers, dudes, like you were saying, Jake, on the offensive line that even if, hey, I got a DN that's a little too wide and they're running stretch to my side, I'm still the better athlete and I can get him reached and get him sealed off from the play.
It wouldn't have been, the worst thing in the world to put in a sixth offensive lineman, some of those and run to the strong side. It's just, I want to back up. I know we're not spending a whole lot of time talking about the bowl game. Yeah, I don't know, what all there is to say, but the comparisons were made both in the comments and, here on the show of, Rule and Hoiberg and, like, oh, do we got to give a guy 10 years? Hoiberg also had to adjust. Like he tried it one way and saw that wasn't working and had to change up his approach.
Yeah.
And obviously part of that was, now they're talking about one of the Big Ten's best players of the season as far as ranked mass. He was a transfer from Bradley. So there are multiple ways to win. It's just, if you still believe in Matt Rule, you got to understand that it may take time. Like it's not going to be done overnight. I don't know. I think maybe one of the first negative things that I heard him say when he was asked about this at a press conference there between Iowa and the bowl game, he's like, well, people don't realize how bad it was when we got here. Like that was kind of the first time I remember like a shot across the bow of the Frost regime.
Glad he finally had something to say that wasn't just ego stroking the previous coaching staff. I love that he said that. Also, to your point, Greg, too, you can have it both ways. You can also say, listen, I want to be patient and give Rule a chance, while also being critical and frustrated. Sure. Those are not mutually exclusive. No. So when I'm on, when I'm just talking about myself, I don't want to speak for anyone else. I come on here on a public, like anyone can watch this and it's being recorded, so it's on the internet forever. I'm allowed to be supportive and patient while also being critical. I don't have to be one or the other. Also, I love Curt Cignetti. Not to retread this again. You never hear Curt Cignetti go on and be like, yeah, dude, we got Arkansas, I know, whatever freaking team they play, whoever it might be, and go, that's a great football team we're playing. Mm-hmm. I am so tired of Matt Rule going, Akron, that's a damn good football team that we're playing. Dude, you don't have to disrespect your opponent, but you don't have to give them undue. They suck. Yep. All right? Just
focus on what your team needs.
Focus on your team. They keep trying to bait Cignetti into these things when he's giving his pressers, like Alabama, that's the Alabama, and you're Indiana, and what do you think? He's like, you guys probably know about Alabama that I do. All of my players know is about the film we're watching.
Yep.
Like,
focus on the process.
Focus on the process. I'm tired of this. I hate that. That's one thing I hate about coaches. They get up there and they'll be playing a far inferior opponent. A far inferior opponent. And I'm not saying, also, I would hate it if they got up there and went, yeah, the team we're playing this week sucks. We should shit on them. I would also hate that. But what I don't like is pumping, just blowing blowing hot air up their asses about them being a great team. They're not a great team. They suck. Just don't say anything. Yep. Just move on. We're just preparing our guys. Our guys are
preparing the way we do, regardless of the opponent.
I got a lot of respect for whoever. Fuck, dude, just stop. Also, I'm with David Matney at this point. Stop your stupid podcast, dude. Just stop that stupid podcast.
I don't think it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world when you're talking about the Houston Christians to be like, yeah, no, we're paying them a lot of money to come here and get some of our depth guys, hopefully get some of our depth, some meaningful snaps, type of like there's nothing wrong with saying, you don't, again, it's not
like that's going to motivate entirely outmatched team to
Right.
play like the 85 Bears and knock somebody off. I mean, come on.
And I agree, guy. Like, sorry, man. I didn't
No,
mean
you're good, dude.
I also don't want anyone going up there and just crapping on an opponent either. That also is not a good look. But I'm just saying, man, don't go up there and call Houston Christian a great football team. Don't. Great compared to what?
Arkansas Baptist.
Again, I'm not entirely
Full circle.
convinced. I think that might be a church group.
I mean, it probably is.
Like, this could have been me today. If I showed up to church today, were they going to be like, here's some pads. What do you got?
Yeah.
You look kind of big.
Hey, can you go play Mike?
Yeah, you're like, I think that might have been Arkansas Baptist. Like, I'm done with this. Let's move on, guys. I don't want to get stuck on this point, but I hate that. I freaking hate it. I love the way Signetti, I know I should, again, everything on the internet is permanent. Go back to some videos we had last year. I'm sure they're still there. Like, I crapped on. Yeah, there we go. Dude, everyone's getting hammered on this podcast if we actually play this game. Oh, yeah. But, like, I was not a fan of him. I talked a lot of crap about him. Thought he was corny, cheesy, didn't like him. You also will find me in the offseason, in the preseason, talking about how I didn't believe in Emmett Johnson.
You told me that multiple times in person over the offseason.
The most awesome feeling being wrong I've ever had in my life. I love that I was wrong about that.
It's like when you texted me the night the Chiefs drafted Mahomes, and I was just pissed about it.
We both were. Don't throw me under the bus. You were right there with me going,
no, I said I was pissed about it.
Oh, yeah. Like, that was a terrible. We were just talking shit about that for that's how long. Well, Haas and I have been friends for a while.
Go way back.
We were talking about how terrible the draft pick Patrick Mahomes was, and that we traded up for him. And
I wanted Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yeah, we wanted Deshaun Watson. Look how that turned out.
Glad you avoided that one, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything more about the game, the Las Vegas Bowl specifically, that you get? Any bright spots? I'll say this because I mentioned it earlier in the season, and I saw it again. There were times when, like, Mekhi Nelson showed a real ability to run the ball. He finished with 88 yards, 7.3 yards per carry. He only had 12 carries. He had a touchdown. I said months back, I said it again on Wednesday, he's got some real balance. He's got some vision. And I thought at times we saw a little burst of speed from Mekhi. Yeah. Were there any bright spots, anything that you guys could all right, that's something to build on for next year?
I thought that Mekhi Nelson and Mosey looked good running the ball. Yeah. I think that the offensive line already looked technically better, especially when we were moving the ball on the ground, than they did under Donovan Raiola. You saw the difference in technique using the Crowther method, the forearm, the flipper to dig an defensive lineman out, kind of get that top of the pad lift, as opposed to Donovan Raiola's, back of the hands blocking that he talked about.
Nope, let's not even talk about it. Let's just
it's just so it blew my mind when I was sitting at the coaches clinic last year.
When you told me that, how mad did I get the other day when you told me that?
Yeah, I was actually like, no freaking way.
I was like, there's no way that he was teaching that technique.
Yep. Back of the hands against the chest plate, no holding penalties. I mean,
dude.
Bill Callahan, I went to some of the big red football schools like 05, 06. Bill Callahan always talked about inside the chest plate, hold, keep elbows tight, hands up.
Okay.
And, it is holding, but
who cares?
That far inside, it's not going to get called.
They might not call it.
Yeah.
Just bully your opponent. If they call it, they call it. Just who cares?
Live with the consequence. Holding's an effort penalty.
What's the worst outcome, guys? Not being able to block whatsoever and having your running back get tackled for a 3-yard loss, or actually being aggressive, holding, and then your running back gets a big gain, they call it back. Okay, whatever. I'll just do the same shit the next play. They're not going to call it. Maybe they won't call it again. It's insane.
Put it in their hands.
Also, anybody that's saying Donovan Raiola wasn't hired to get Dylan is just not living in reality. He had never, I heard this from Husker Online, so I'm going to assume that they're a pretty credible source. He had never been an offensive line coach like himself. He was only an assistant.
Yeah, he was an assistant to Harry Highstand at the Chicago Bears, and he was a GA at Notre Dame.
Yeah, he had never been the guy that was an offensive line coach. I mean, I don't want to be like, I thought I was going to come into this subdued like I did, what was it, after Iowa, where it was just like sleepy and sad. But like, I'm getting so fired up because when you told me that, dude, that he was coaching that technique, no one teaches that anymore.
Nope.
I don't know any.
That honestly probably hasn't really been taught since the 80s.
No, that's insane. Like, just fuck it, dude. You hold. They'll throw the penalty, do the same shit the next play. Maybe they won't call. Just keep running it.
Yep. Thumbs up inside.
Jake for president. Well, no, president, not of the country, not of
fan base.
I will say this, maybe not a bright spot, but I still think the jury's still out on TJ Lateef.
Mm-hmm.
The dude was put, shit situation,
missing horrible situation.
Two of your best playmakers in Isaiah Hunter and Emmett Johnson, still nursing a hamstring injury a little bit. I'd like to see what he could do with a coherent offensive scheme that's developed, that players are developed in over the offseason before selling the farm.
Again, though, you can be hopeful and also be critical.
Oh, yeah. And he made some terrible reads.
He also didn't play well. And that's okay to say that he did not play well the last 3 games of the season. He did.
Not at all.
Not at all. That's okay. I also do not want him to leave because I also think he can develop into a really good player. He's just not – he wasn't that this year. No. And that's okay.
Now, because it was announced earlier today and it's been in the comments, and I know you guys know, there's going to be some competition in the spring because the quarterback from Notre Dame, I guess technically he was the backup. He did see some reps this season, and my understanding is he barely was beat out for the starter position in Notre Dame by CJ Carr. But Minchie is committed now to Nebraska. He's, I think, 1 or 2 years left, I believe. 2 years. So he's been in South Bend for 3 years. A little bit older than TJ, and that's what I need. I think we all hoped. I'm not going to say that we all thought, but we all hoped that Dylan would be the guy who could come in as a true freshman and lead Nebraska to the promised land, and that didn't happen. And I don't want that pressure on Trey Taylor in 2027. So I want there to be an established veteran presence in that quarterback room. So I'm excited for Minchie. I'm sure we'll talk more about him, in subsequent shows when he gets on campus after spring ball, things like that. Of course, I just hope that it's a true, honest quarterback competition, because I don't know if he's been promised a starting role, then TJ Lateef might bug out as well. And then you have a situation where, again, you have, one guy and then a bunch of, hate to say it, scrubs.
I don't think there's a chance in hell that he's been promised anything.
Okay.
I don't. And I think it's going to be a nice quarterback battle because I do think TJ Lateef is really good. Or that he's not right now, but that he can be really good. His potential, his ceiling is really high.
Assuming that he can develop, which you talk, Jake, that's where we've lacked.
Yep.
But Minchie's a really good get out of the portal, huge get. If I'm not mistaken, though, talk about veteran versus not veteran. TJ has more starting experience than Minchie does.
True.
So Minchie, when he did come in limited time this season for Notre Dame, he did play very well. He was really efficient. He ran the offense well. It was in garbage time, but he was a really good, competent-looking quarterback.
Former 4-star, I believe.
He is a former 4-star. I think he was ranked 142nd in his class, I think, that he came out of in high school. I should not admit this, but I was kind of trying to look stuff up while I was driving home from work when I found out. I know. Don't condone that behavior to anyone watching. Yeah. Because I kind of saw the news when I was driving home from work, and I was just like at stoplights and kind of trying to see like who this guy is. I didn't know anything about him. And he's not a true dual threat, but he is a mobile quarterback. He can run, but he's not he's not a I don't want to say run first, but he's not like a true dual threat. I think TJ can scoot a little better than Minchie based on what I've heard and read on the scouting reports and things, but Minchie's got a big arm and he can make every throw. Now, we didn't see enough out of TJ to really know what he can do throwing the football, but we'll see. I would love to see a true quarterback battle that's hard fought and won this season between those two guys.
I would too. Greg, go ahead with the comment.
James Boardman says, will Amigos have another late night quarterback combo called Minchie's Munchies?
Jeff Sims combo.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I watched a little bit of Minchie from the limited snaps that he had at Notre Dame. Kind of his running style. He's not a guy like Jake pointed out that's going to really run on designed runs, but remind me a little bit of Adrian Martinez in the overall way that he moved.
Yeah,
great. I got a little bit better of an arm. He's similar size. I think it'll be interesting to see this quarterback battle play out, especially because if quarterback counter and quarterback power is going to be a focal point of the offense with the hiring of Jeep Wade from Georgia Tech, both those guys might need to put on for Minchie, probably 5-10 pounds. For TJ, they have him listed at 200. He looks like he's closer to about 185.
Yeah.
He's going to need to put on a little bit of weight. But I'm excited for a quarterback battle. Iron sharpens iron. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe, we get another one in the portal for depth purposes, FCS or Division II guy. I did see Zane Flores from Gretna, Nebraska, and Danny Kalin from Bellevue. Those guys, Flores was at Oklahoma State. Kalin was transferred to Virginia last year after being here in 24. Be curious if those guys are ones that we bring in as backups with Marco Davila leaving as well.
Danny Dimes, you think he'd come back in a backup role again?
Never know. I think he got absolutely screwed with the late commitment of Raiola, but like somebody pointed out in the comments, everyone would have taken Raiola's commitment at that time.
Yeah, there was any team in the country would have taken.
I'm not gonna say we screwed somebody over. I mean, he can feel like he got screwed over, but we did what we thought was best for the program.
I did.
Yeah.
Let's take a few of the starred comments that I've been compiling. This goes back to much earlier in the show. We were talking about a program's identity. And Aaron Keene says identities at the program level, players fit or they don't. I mean, you can't put a square peg in a round hole, right?
Yeah, you can't. If we're talking on defense and, you need to have an inside linebacker that's great at coming downhill against the run, and instead you got a guy who's better at pass coverage, you're not going to be stopping the run up the middle very well.
No. And then Fred says in response to that, agreed. How long does it take to build an identity? Apparently more than three years. Rule's been more spastic than my colon after chicken vindaloo. Lord. Fred.
That one's nice Sopranos reference. I caught that.
But how long should it take to build an identity?
Well, you can't talk about Indiana because they're an outlier.
Let's not talk about Indiana. Let's talk about
honestly, it should be emerging.
I didn't say his name. Everyone's trying to play the drinking game with the coach's name. I didn't say it. No one drink yet. Go ahead, Haas.
I was just going to say it should be emerging by the end of your first year. It should really have taken root by the end of your second year.
I agree. By year 3, it should be cemented.
And here we are rebooting again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron says, serious question, with this many questions and changes about current and prior coaching staff, doesn't the hot seat belong to Rule at this point?
Not to me.
No, not yet.
I did look. It's a $15 million.
Now, we went 5-7, or 7-6 again next year.
Yeah, which is gonna be tough because it's a hell of a schedule next year. Hell of a list of opponents.
That's why you're paid big money.
Yeah. And somebody asked, what his buyout was. I looked. It's $15 million. So, let's see. Joel thought with the new offensive line coach reputation, he expected a great game in the bowl game. I mean, he didn't have much time to do really anything, right? Jeep Wade from that standpoint.
Which
there were some marginal improvements in technique, but not enough to really get guys playing at a higher level.
Not enough time.
Let's see. Oh, you're gonna. I don't know if you'll appreciate this one. David Matney says to you, Jake, disagree. A fish rots from the head down. It starts with coaching.
Okay.
You were talking about guys on the field.
Sure. But as a guy that was on the field at one point, it also comes down to who's on the field. And if you don't have anybody better than that guy who's out there to replace him, it comes down to the players, guys. Like, that is at the root of this game. It is the players. It is a very simple game. One team is trying to move the ball over an imaginary line, and the other team tries to stop that. And then it just goes back and forth like that, kind of like a military engagement goes. You have to have the guys on the field. That's the most basic part of this. So if a fish rots from the head down, I do agree with that, but there's other factors as far as then you have done a poor job getting the right guys. I'm not going to say most talented, right guys on the field then. And because that is a huge part of it.
I'm being corrected in the comments. I apologize.
I got corrected too.
His buyout, I said, was 15. That's what Google told me. Shame on me. That's if he leaves. If he's fired, it's 70 million. That's a big gap. So apologize for all the confusion. Let's see. So let's see. Somebody said, Aaron Rostovsky says college football is all about the Jimmies and Joes. Minnie says it's all about the Benjamins.
Well, yeah, and it's also about who do you spend your money on. It's appropriate utilization. Any Moneyball fans out there?
Mm-hmm.
An iconic scene in that movie is when Jonah Hill's character is talking to Brad Pitt's character, who is Brad Pitt's character is the Billy Bean, the GM of the. I'm not going to go off on this, guys. Don't worry, I'm not going to take much time. Of the Oakland A's, and he was talking about Johnny Damon, who's a great player at the time, and like one of the best outfielders and leadoff hitters in the game. And Jonah Hill goes off about, like, is he a great player? Yeah, he's a great player. Is he worth the $7.5 million the Red Sox are paying him? No, he's not. And I think it's a good thing you got him off your payroll. I think it opens up all kinds of interesting possibilities. So if we have a guy that we're paying, and I'm not directing this at any one person, this is hypothetical. If we're paying a guy $3 million, I know, Greg, I knew you were going to do that. I've been watching my phone.
Sorry.
I got it on over here.
If we're paying a guy $3 million that we can have the same production in the aggregate for $1 million, that's a huge thing in today's college football landscape, guys. Like, unless you have a generational, game-changing – my wife and I were talking about this last night, and it was so boring to her, it actually put her to sleep. I would rather have a competent quarterback and an elite pass rusher than I would have an elite quarterback and a competent pass rusher if I had to choose. Because I think that when you have a Myles Garrett, fitting reference because he broke the sack record tonight, a Myles Garrett level defensive guy that's going to disrupt not only the game itself, but the entire game plan leading up to in that week. Haas, you may or may not agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to a guy that can get the job done and be a really good, solid quarterback for you, give me that all day. Like all day. Go ahead, Greg.
No, quarterback play. I mean, I hate the game manager label because at the end of the day, that is a quarterback's job.
That's not a disparaging comment. That's a compliment.
Yeah, and so like I'm right there with you where I'm like, give me competent quarterback play. And as many conversations you and I have had over the years, when we talk about best football player of all time, I always say Lawrence Taylor for what he did to change everything. Give me an elite pass rush and a competent quarterback, same way that you stated it.
All day long.
Give me that. And I think you're going to win a lot of football games at that point.
Well, let's go back. I mean, let's stay right here within our own, beloved team program, Ndamukong Suh. 09, what could we have accomplished if we had
competent quarterback play?
Yeah. Sure.
So, I mean, we don't have to think too long and hard about it. It's there are I'm with you guys. I would much rather have an elite disruptive defender than an elite quarterback.
If you had to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Obviously, best
in a perfect world, you have both.
In a perfect world, you have both, but give me a Casey Thompson and a Ndamukong Suh rather than a, I don't know, Peyton Manning and a whoever the fuck. I'm just saying, to me, that value, I don't think you need to spend that much money on a quarterback. I'm going to be honest. Get a good, solid guy that's not going to lose you games. You're in the Big Ten, right? I mean, everyone goes, oh, man. So I hear this a lot from no one knows what I do for a living on this show, but I do a lot of business in Iowa, and a lot of my subordinates are Iowegians.
I'm sorry.
And they like to try to mess with me as much as they can before they get in actual trouble. But you guys want to be Iowa so bad. I don't want to be Iowa because you're a poverty program, but I want to have an identity like you do. 100%. I want to have an identity like you do. Absolutely. Really good defense, solid running game. Hopefully you can get a quarterback that doesn't lose you games. That's what I want. DeMario Williams.
Worked for this team for a long time.
Stovsky.
There we go.
Great.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we do have a Notre Dame fan in. Thomas says, Notre Dame fan checking in to congratulate you guys on landing Kenny Minchie. We were very high on him. He does speculate in a later comment how much we had to give Minchie to come to Lincoln. So I don't know. That information's not I'm not privy to that. Here, how about this elite defender, Levante David?
Yep.
Just, I think, today tied Derek Thomas's franchise record for tackles as a Buccaneer. So I think that's right.
It was
maybe not Derek Thomas.
No, it was
somebody else.
God.
It was another player. I know that much.
Why can't he rush? Probably because I've been drinking too much.
How about who remembers Eric Martin? I know
Derek Brooks. Sorry,
Derek Brooks. I'm sorry.
Eric Thomas was a Kansas City Chief.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, Eric Martin would have been nice in the past 5 years. Rostovsky, yeah, that would have been great to have him. And at the time, how much should we take him for granted?
Mm-hmm.
Brooks. All right. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry.
No. I also was struggling to remember it. I was
you said Derek Thomas. It didn't even register to me at first that you're talking about Kansas City Chief. So,
Gary Pierce says that our new defensive coordinator has improved every defense after he got there.
Yes, it'll be. I think it translates well to the Big Ten, but I'm in kind of a limbo here where I'm kind of in wait and see mode. Kind of looking at, I'm sick and tired talking about potential over production.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, guys, as we go into the off season, I mean, unless I'm not trying to end the show, rush the show along at all, but I don't know how much we want to drag up the bowl game and discuss anymore. I think we've hit the low points, so we've hit the high point.
Kicking on down the road.
Flush it and move on.
What are we, and Haas, maybe you just encompass it all in one, looking, for production, not potential. Where do we as fans, what should our frame of mind be from now? I don't want to say till August, but now through spring, what should we, I don't say this to bring up, unfortunate memories or be a downer, but back in 2017, when Brian passed, Haas, you were there, you were here on the show. It was, for me, it was like a galvanizing moment that some things are bigger than watching sports. Sports for me is an escape. It's not my day to day. I got my boys to think about and things like that. I'm not apathetic. I still very much love the Huskers. I'm just still doing Husker content and podcasts and things like that. But what are we supposed to do? How should we approach this offseason?
I think that I'm going to borrow something that Jake said earlier about how you can still be hopeful or see the potential in somebody, but call a spade, like, with Latif, what you're talking about. I think the best way to approach it is still love Husker football. Be excited for the season to kick off. It's the best time of the year when you get to football season. That being said, you can be critical and you can be cautious and sit back and say, show me. I got to see it before I really start to believe. But don't let that ruin your enthusiasm for Husker football. I mean, it's still great to get together with friends and family 12 Saturdays out of the year, hopefully more, and, just enjoy the sport that we all love, the team that we all love. So be hopeful. Don't be jaded. I think that there's some fans that, I'm not trying to call out, my man Fred here by any means, but you did come to mind when I thought of this. I think there's some that, try to, be edgy by being cynical, be cynical all you want, but still leave some room to, maybe drink, a few sips of Kool-Aid in August and allow yourself to think, what if we did knock off, Indiana when they come to Lincoln?
Oh.
Don't start believing it, though.
Trust me.
Don't start believing it.
After this off season,
we all do the same thing, though. We finish up a year, we're down, get to that spring game, you get to the 4th of July, you start sipping on that Kool-Aid before you know it, you've convinced yourself you're going to the playoffs. So leave some room for some optimism. You can be cautious. Don't be cynical.
Good way to put it.
Jake?
No, that's a good way to put it. And, on that point, trust me, right now I'm like, fuck, dude, we'll win 5 games next year. By the time we roll around to preseason predictions, I'll probably have us in double-digit wins. And I always will, because this is the University of Nebraska. This is one of the historic programs in college football history. And what I hate to see is when fans start accepting mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
You should never accept that. I don't want to ever see anybody be like, well, pretty good year considering the competition. We won 6 games. Fuck that, baby. Never at the University of Nebraska you accept that shit. You are the University of Nebraska. You shit fuck Minnesota and Iowa. We haven't done it in 10 years. So I'm talking wrong here. Sorry. I'm just saying. Like, those are programs, in the words of the great Jason Peter, dog shit on your feet. You can be okay with it. Be like, hey, man, we've had a rough time. Back-to-back winning seasons, okay. All right, that's different than being like, I'm happy with winning 7 games. Never accept that. Never accept that. So that's where I stand, Greg.
Like Pitts, this is Sparta.
Dude, I'll break somebody's arm. Like, I am so fired up right now. The hairs on my scalp are like, like, I'm so excited. And the reason is after this, what I would consider a failure of a season, which I am making no bones about. Failure of a season. We beat nobody. And we lost lopsidedly to a lot of opponents I thought we would be competitive with, if not beat. This is Nebraska football, baby. And you should be proud to be a Husker fan. And never don't be proud of that. Ever.
Amen.
I like it. One more comment here before we have a very special message to end the show. Husker Chuck says Indiana's 14-0 in football, Nebraska's 14-0 in basketball. What planet is this?
Dude, there's a theory that shit got messed up in 2012. I discovered on Reddit today, and I'm not going to get into it here because this is not the platform. But there's like a theory that all kinds of messed up weird shit happened, like the Berenstein Bears being the Berenstain Bears.
Mm-hmm.
They were Berenstein Bears when I was a kid. And like Trump being president, all kinds of like insane, not It's not a political show, but all kinds of wild stuff you never think would have happened. And this is one of them. This is one of those weird things. Indiana, number 1 team in the country, shit dogging Alabama in their playoff game, and Nebraska basketball, historically the Indiana of basketball, the worst Power 5 program ever in basketball, 14-0 and beat a top 10 legit Michigan State team. This is wild, guys.
I'm putting a link in the comments right now, Jake. You said you found it on Reddit?
Yeah.
So it's it's in the Retcon subreddit. It says Berenstain Bears changed to Berenstain sometime between March of 2006 and December of 2008. Here's how I know.
Yeah, it's weird.
All right, so check that out if you want to jump down that particular rabbit hole.
There's a whole 2012 rabbit hole I don't recommend anybody get into because it's insane. And even if you're a sane person, you'll be like, I never would believe in a conspiracy theory. And then you're going to go down this rabbit hole and you're going to start wearing a tinfoil hat. This shit is unreal. But anyway.
Maybe it's not the same link, but nobody's clicking it, by the way.
That's not the same link. But
okay.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on. I'm not doing it.
2-minute warning in Sunday Night Football. Pittsburgh's now down by 4, 24-20 Baltimore. Haas, the floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, that's how you're going to give me the tee it up?
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Oh, Greg.
Hold on. That's not what I wanted.
Oh, come on. All right. Yeah.
I'm trying to solo you. There we go.
Oh, shit, man. All right. I started this podcast with Greg September 2017, after Brian Toll passed away. I started filling in on the 5 Heart podcast. And, I wish that I could say I shared a lot of highs with Husker football with you guys, but unfortunately it's been more lows than highs. But this past season, this past game represents the last Overreaction podcast I'm going to be a part of. Without getting too specific, I have an opportunity to start working, with coaching and in football next fall. So I decided that it was the right time to step away from the podcast. So I didn't write anything down, just wanted to keep it short and sweet, but I'll still be around. I'll be on Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. Probably try to tweet more during games. Feel free to reach out to me via social media. But yeah, end of the road, and I wish could have gone out on a high note.
Coronation says congrats.
Thanks, John.
Fred says no Haas. Is it Greg? I bet it's Greg's fault.
No, Greg's my spiritual mentor.
Thank you. Sorry. You should find somebody better. Charles says congratulations. Pitt says congrats on baby's first Christmas as well. Good luck from James. Minnie says Haas, thanks for everything. Pitt says you know where to find us.
Wade's got the greatest comment ever.
Wade Farr says rule does both. Why can't you?
That's the best. It's the best way to end it.
Oh, Wade, my man.
Honestly, it's the only argument that I didn't think of to try to keep him around.
Oh, rule does both. Why can't you? Love it.
Jake, anything you want to say in response?
There's nothing I want to say. Obviously Haas brought me into this podcast world and I love spending my Sunday nights with you guys and putting up with sometimes, man, you guys got to remember there's times, because the way I do my family dinners, I started drinking wine about noon. So you guys put up with a lot for me. Yeah, I'm making gravy. I'll call it gravy for Haas's last show, even though it's fucking sauce. It's not gravy, but I'm a family oriented guy, and I make big, meals. I know Greg. I just got the notification. Yep.
Steelers are one of my most hated teams.
I know,
and I don't hate them at all.
Fitting. it's fitting if they win the division, go to the playoffs on your last
But
show.
what I wanted to say, the only thing is like not take it away from Haas's announcement, because that's obviously been on the show 10 times longer than I have, but I appreciate you guys putting up with my ramblings and sometimes semi-intoxicated state that I'm on when I do the show. So yeah, I love you guys so much, and I love spending my Sunday nights here.
Thanks, Jake. You know what, man? When you first came on the podcast as Big Game Jake, it was pretty immediate that Greg and I were like, no, he's every game Jake.
Yeah, thank you guys. It really means a lot, because I thought it was going to be just a one-time thing, but
No, man. You've carried this show on episodes where I wanted fuck all to do with talking about Husker football losing.
I mean, shit, I'll come on every Sunday. You guys are just gonna have to deal with whatever the product is. It might not be the best quality product, but there will be a product.
All right, so it's my turn now. So Haas, you came on when Brian was in the hospital, and you stayed on. I remember your first quote unquote full-time show was with John, and it was actually the first time I'd ever talked to John, and we did our tribute to Brian right there in the middle of the season, and then you and I talked, and because I didn't know what was going to happen with the 5 Heart podcast at that point. Hell, Brian and I took most of the off season off. A lot of people don't realize we're over, we should be well over 500 episodes. But we took off most of that 2017 off season because it's like, you got anything to talk about? I don't got anything to talk about. All right, let's just not do it. Let's not sit down and record on Skype at 10:30 at night on a Wednesday. So, you always call me Skipper. But the ship's rudderless without you, man. Because you made sure that you and I talked, and we knew that Brian would want the show to continue, and because of you, and eventually John and Todd, it did. Now Minnie, of course. So you are integral to the Coronation podcast family. And because of some of we used to record the show and then we'd talk another half hour about, show stuff after we hit record. Like, that was better than the damn show itself, So our brotherhood got forged, in those recording sessions and over time. And, man, I got so much love and appreciation for you, your family and what you're planning on doing. I know it's been a dream for you. So, I wish you, I was saddened to hear the news, but I got nothing but respect for your decision and wish you nothing but the best going forward, brother.
Thanks, Skipper.
So, and then Jake, bad news for you. We're going to do this again next year.
Yeah. Yeah. So some people were asking, is Jake gone too? Jake is not gone too. I love this Sunday show. I have not made a commitment either way, but I love being on this show and I love spending time with everybody who's here. And I was telling my wife, because I knew obviously Haas and I are pretty much best friends. So I knew that this news was coming. And the closer we got to showtime, starting at about 2:00 this afternoon, I was talking about how sad I was. No, I don't want to make Haas, this is not to make you feel bad.
No,
how sad I was. And I got a little emotional, when it came closer to showtime, about 8:00. So, I'm not whatever either way. We have a whole off season to, talk about whatever. And I want everyone to know that watches the show that I really love being a part of this, and I love this community, and it's one of my favorite things I look forward to every week. So I love you guys. And even if you're saying I'm an asshole and that I'm wrong and that you disagree with me, or you're saying that I should be president of the United States, which is absolutely insane. I appreciate everybody that tunes in. So, special guest appearance.
Special guest appearance.
You guys may recognize him for his role in Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. Captain America also looks like he's Frank Gifford playing for the Giants back in the 50s.
Hey, here you go. Get used to it.
No,
right?
no.
Get used to it. Like,
no. No.
Oh, man. All right. Well, gentlemen, it's been an honor. Let me try that again. Gentlemen, it has been an honor and a privilege this season. Certainly wish that it would have gone better, but that is out of our control. All we can do is get together here, talk about it, have some laughs, and continue to bring this online community together for a little analysis, maybe a little overreaction, maybe a little batshit craziness. But we do it because we're passionate, and that's not going anywhere. Again, Haas, all the best to you and your wonderful family. We're seeing 2/3 of the family with Katie around there as well. So to everybody, thank you for tuning in this season. And Jake and I have some off-season conversation, but plan for Sunday nights to resume. Are you sending us out of the show, Lane?
I think that was him sending you out of the show.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this season of the Coronation Overreaction for every game, Jake, for Haas and Lane. Already getting his helmet on because he's ready. He's going to be That's right. And I'm Greg Mahochko, and we wish you all a fantastic 2026. God bless. Go Big Red. Jake?
God bless. Go Big Red.
Haas.
Win the damn off season.
Proper.